Hello everyone, this is going to be a very special review on the album Stridslysten by Skald and veum. This is the 2-year anniversary of the album. This was my introduction to black metal. Hey guys, what's up? This is going to be my review of Total Depravity by Hi guys, this is going to be my video review for Crucified by Journey. Hi guys, what's up? This is going to be my video review of Apocalyptic Violence by Adorn. So there's going to be several sections of this review. The first section is going to be about the band members. The second section is going to be about the history of the band, and there's 3 parts to that. Each one will be its own section. Then there's going to be a short talk about the spirituality of the band. Then finally there's going to be the ratings. For this review I talked to 3 different people, and it was a good experience overall. Every one of them was able to talk to me about these things, and I learned a lot. First person I talked to was Sean Browning, who is the CEO of Rottweiler Records, and he really is the one who signed Skald and veum for their first album, 1260 Days. The second person I talked to was Carl of Pantocrator, who is basically like the firewall between Skald and veum and the world. And finally, my longest conversation that I had about these things was with Het of Skald and veum. So with that out of the way, let's get into the review. Skald and veum is made up of 4 different members that produce different things for the band. So let's talk about the members of the band. Heth had this to say about the members. Mund, the silent type when not on stage or recording. From Heth he says just mouth, Mund, now. Not Mund as in with a D, in order Scandinavian. Morgenson har gold I Mund equals morning time has gold in its mouth. Heth says this about Resh, work ethics incarnate. Heth thinks that Resh was doing the vocals on the old Lost demo. Resh was originally under a different name. This is what Heth has to say about Zajian, the guardian of metal orthodoxy. Let's say he likes his black metal served cold. Resh and Zajian were the first members, though they were under a different name back then. And Heth. Heth said, of him I will not speak. On the secondary skills of me and Mund, I will not comment. Let's get into the first section of the history now. This is what I call the history origins. Skald and veum is from Sweden. They formed in 1997 prior to Crimson Moonlight EP in 1998 as a 2-man band. Later added members, don't know when. A lot of this is before I, Heth, joined, but they were only 2 regarding the beginning, not 2 with 4 people playing. First time we were 4 is in pictures from 04 or 05. The gig was held in a private party and was masked, not unmasked. This was before my time. I know they formed before the Moonlight EP in 1998, but I could not say they formed in 1997. That is unclear to me. They had played together by then, I'm sure, but as to when that turned into Skald exactly, I know not. That's all said by Heth. Skald and veum used to be just called Skald until there was another band that basically stole their name, and this was before they had actually recorded and produced anything, so there wasn't really anything they could do about it. The logo is really Skald I veum, not Skald in veum, and that's Swedish, and it became spread as in Skald in veum because of the English. I means a holy place or sanctuary. History, relevant persons. Pilgrim could have featured on Stridslysten without meeting any of us in person, Heth says, but this was not the case. He was with Skald band members in studio, but we trust him not to betray us. Skald approached Sean Browning roughly 6 months before the release of 1260 Days. Sean vetted them with lots of discussion over a period of time. Same as everyone else, Sean says. Sean talked to Heth just like I talked to Heth. They just said they were looking for a label to release their upcoming recording. Both thought it was a good fit. I asked this to Sean about Skald to see what he would say. What would you tell people who are adamant about Skald not being a Christian band, and how did you know you were sure they were Christians? Sean's response is, I wouldn't tell them anything. They already tell me they know what kind of music Jesus listens to. I knew they were Christians by spending a lot of time talking to them, judging fruit. Sean Browning has not met them in person. Carl from Pantocrator. I, Carl, have acted middleman for Skald at occasions to help them get stuff done while keeping their incognito thing. Also me, Carl, being a firewall is hard to call a secret since I sold merch for them at Nordic Fest in 2017, and everyone who was there saw it. I also did their logo and some video stuff for 12,060 days. Those things have always been out in the open. Carl says Timmons did the album cover painting, and it is a painting. Mund recorded a part for Pantocrator's album Marching Out of Babylon, where Carl saw him in the same room. So Carl has actually met members of Skald and veum. Now let's get into the history, odds and ends. Skald and veum was interviewed by a Norwegian magazine called Scream Magazine, where Heth did most of the talking but not all. Resh and Zajian also answered questions there, but Mund did not. Heth says, it is correct that I wrote a part for Mund that was intended to be a guest appearance on the new Pantocrator album, but it was not used, so he used it for Symphony of Heaven EP instead. It was recorded in Carl's place, for he was doing some guest vocals, however I was not there when it went down. Mund does feature on the Pantocrator album Marching Out of Babylon in the song Phoenix Rising, which is the A song and the last song off the album. Stridslysten was originally called Stridlust, which means battle lust. Based on the title track, the band now translates Stridslysten as contentious. Heth tells me it, 12,060 days, was named 1260 days from the time of the tribulation mentioned in the 3.5 years, 260 days, 42 months of time, or times and time and a half, in different parts of Scripture. Stridslysten came out exactly 1260 days after their EP 1260 Days. Drunk with Tainted Blood is one of the two songs Heth did not write. It is stolen. Skald and veum has 13 reviews featured on their Facebook page. 10 gave a rating. Average rating was 8.347. Skald and veum has played a private mass show in 2008 for Carl of Pantocrator's birthday. A few people know about it. It was a 4-man show. Skald and veum also played at Nordic Fest in 2017. They lacked 1 man and have 3 extras. And they also played at the Elements of Rock in Switzerland in 2018. They also, for this show, lacked 1 man but had 3 extras. Now let's get into their spirituality. Now, I'm not really at liberty to talk about a lot of stuff, but suffice to say I had over 2 pages of information on Arial font with 12-point font. So I had a long conversation with Heth about this stuff. What I can say, I think I'm safe in saying, is that they really believe in free will. They think free will is really a big deal. Heth seems to have pretty orthodox beliefs as far as I can see. Some of the things that he believes are based on what he thinks or believes. However, this is not necessarily what is true, he says. So there's a differentiation between what he writes about and what he actually believes. So he's not going to write about things that contradict what the actual truth of what Scripture says. So he's going to leave his beliefs behind and basically just talk about what's true. Also, Heth says you can know what his theology is by reading the lyrics. So that's helpful to know as well. Now for some things that are neither here nor there, but that are important to talk about. Carl's favorite song is En Lyra Dopt ad Lud, Gotor, Tvinsnot, and Whoremaster. Heth had some things to say about the different songs on the album, and I'm going to just repeat them back to you. So these are all things that Heth has said about them. Stridslysten. Truth is not up for negotiation. The truth cannot be believed. It should be more like, the truth does not think so, the truth knows so. Truth is true, no matter if anyone believes it. I asked him if it was actually Stridslysten, and he said yes. As wolves among sheep, the state of the world and the church. The responsibility to take action. Not to act is also to act. En lyra dopt I bloed. Wielding an instrument and being an instrument in the hands of God. Do what thou wilt, the flesh and the spirit, the old nature and the new. Love God and do what thou wilt, because you love someone. You like to please that object of your love. That's just how it works. And then he references 1 Corinthians 13. Goat whore, nothing is new under the sun. The shapes and form might shift. Shards of the infernal fall. About the fall of man and its consequences. Tvinsnot, general inspiration for one of the greatest prophets of the Old Testament. Whoremaster, he says, not going to say anything about that one. I want to save that one for the eye of the beholder. Okay guys, let's get into the ratings now. I put a lot of effort into this, and I tried to be as fair as I possibly could. I have a lot of biases that come with this album because I just think it's so good, but I really tried to be objective here. I weighed some things differently here and there, but I did a pretty thorough rundown of this album, and after listening to it, I don't know, 100 plus times, probably a good deal more than that. It might be 200 times, it might be more than that, but this is what I have for the ratings. The rhythm and light of the notes. The speed changing fast or slow. Allegro, energetic, measured. Complexity, how complex the music is. Fortissimo, impassioned. Atmosphere, the mood of the music. Dark, cold, and euphoric. Rhythm of sounds, overall rhythm of composition. Enchanting, absorbing, and instinctive. Notes and light of the depth. Predictability, groove. The feel of the music while listening. Spectacular, exhilarating, impassioned. Composition, the feel of the music after listening. Shocking, piercing, sensational. Wares, different musical instruments and vocal wares. Enticing, poetic, grand. Progressing or climaxing, the story of the song. Cool, unplugged, decrescending. Rhythm and light of the depth. Flow from one song to the next, perfectly proficient. Synergy, how well the musical instruments and vocals sound together. Magnificent, emboldened, progressive. Production, tasteful enough, perfect. Genre, defining or original. Perfectly originally defining. Lyrics, rhythm of lyrics. Varied, measured, poetic. Melody of lyrics. Raw, cold, underestimated. Synergy with music. Perfectly synergy. Content, emotional impact. I would say, in some sense, the one word for this would be contentious. For the X Factor, I put that as a perfect score for this. I just don't see how you could not put a perfect score for the X Factor for this band. So yeah. So altogether, that's going to put it at a 9.875. Really high rating, just about as high as you can go. It's the highest I've ever rated something, so there you go. Well guys, that was my review of Stridslysten by Skald and veum. I was happy to do this as a 2-year anniversary for this album that was so influential for me. Thanks for watching. Talk to you later. Bye.